Okay, no problem. I thought it is, it is good to.
In a philosophical way, these are symbols which remind us of some things, just like all other.
I know that. So I know when I learned that it was good. It was good to know that. So I thought, okay.
It's interesting to learn about each other's cultures. In fact, I visited Amman in January this year, and we were standing at one of the shops, and Ruba Bataina, she was asking me, why do you wear this in your hand? This bangle thing, iron one. So I said, this is just to remind me of something that I should not do wrong things. She said, can I also wear it? I said, yeah, take it. So I gave it to her, my bangle. And then from that day onward, she keeps showing it to me every day.
She's on the right track, huh?
I don't know that part, but still.
This is questionable.
Okay, we are live now, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
District 105 is live on YouTube today.
We have shared the chat, the link, yeah?
You have shared the link in the chat, so we can search.
Yes.
Thank you, Deepa, for sharing that link.
Thank you so much.
You can put it onto the various WhatsApp groups, and you might also want to do everybody. If you can do that, it will help us.
Many names silent. You're not greeting as well, I suppose. Samir GP, Hadi, Toastmaster Hadi.
The silence is deafening.
Toastmasters staying silent is accomplishment.
No, we're busy in sharing the link to various places.
What I'm also doing, so.
Yeah.
Everyone's practicing their pause in the speech.
Yeah.
Altaf's picture is there on.
We're busy sharing the link to various.
Good morning, gentlemen.
So we have 2 minutes to go. So how many people from Jordan? Can we have a show of hands here today? All right.
They were the first people to join, actually, even though it's 8 o'clock now. Very early. Super.
Thank you for coming all the way from Jordan. I hope you didn't have any problem on the way.
Gurbinder, they didn't come. We went to them.
We went to them. All right. I hope your flight was comfortable, Samir.
Gurbinder, there was some signal by the Zoom master to let in the people in. So there were some signals to cross by.
Better luck next time. Great. We have achieved 100 participants on the call. That's call for celebration. Hey, 100 people. First milestone. Rania, busy on the WhatsApp. And how many people from Abu Dhabi today? Can we have a show of hands? Abu Dhabi. Wow.
42.
Hey. Nice. And how many people from Dubai? Great. 1, 2. Fantastic. Lovely. Oman. Has Oman woken up? Yes, I can see Oman, lot of Oman here, including me. Yeah.
Up
Great.
and
So it's 9 o'clock. I'll put my camera and audio on mute. Over to the Sergeant at Arms and to the host for the day, Club Grow Director Rania Abdulrahman.
Good morning, dear district leaders and fellow Toastmasters of this wonderful district 105 region 11. Before I proceed, last week there was an attack in one of our friendly country, Lebanon. We have lost many people there and there has been a severe damages to the beautiful city. As a mark of respect, let us observe 1 minute silence for all those people who have perished and for all the damages in that city. Can we have a 1 minute silence, please? Thank you. Life is like a rainbow. To have a rainbow, you need to have both the sun and also the rain so that the colors appear. Similarly, in Toastmasters, we need both quality and quantity to make a club environment a colorful one. Today, at District 105, we have the program quality team and the club growth team together conducting this workshop. We have ha-ha's movement, movement in any club environment. But we need to ensure that what are those two moments? That is why we are here today to have this Moments of Truth workshop. District 105 always thrive on the district mission. The district mission is we build new clubs and support the existing clubs. Today, this year, we are going to achieve this district mission by our vision by a district director through a team work. For any online meetings, there are some ground rules to be followed. I request everyone to mute their mics if the host has not muted you and switch off your cameras and request to on only when you are being required. I request everyone to use the chat option wisely to ask their questions to the presenters. In any Toastmasters meeting, we have three topics called as the taboo, namely sex, religion, and politics. I request all the members to not speak about it. For this workshop of this rainbow colors, we have one person to take forward this. This person is colorful. I mean colorful because she was last year the district public relation manager where she gave the colorful branding of Toastmasters. She has been a Toastmaster for more than a decade and she has been the Arab lead reviewer for Toastmasters International since 2012. She has served multiple roles in a Toastmasters journey in club, area, division, and district. To start this wonderful workshop, please join me in welcoming our Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster, Rania Abdul Rab.
Thank you, Ram, for this wonderful introduction. And a very good morning, my fellow leaders and friends of the district, division, area, and club level of District 105. Thank you so much for joining us on this Saturday morning to learn more about this very effective and important tool that you've been hearing about over the past few weeks. Now, a moment of choice is a moment of truth. It is the testing point of our character and our competence. Now, as clubs, our main aim is that every new and prospective member develops a positive interaction with us. These decisive critical moments when these first impressions are created is what we call the moments of truth. And it is crucial to transform these first impressions into good, lasting ones. Moments of Truth is a tool, a guide that helps the club understand where they stand in terms of delivering high-quality members' experience. So think about it as a guided evaluation on a club's level, focusing on 6 main pillars in order to ensure sustainable, high-quality members and club's experience, and providing targeted recommendations that our 2 presenters today will highlight and will explain on our session today. When clubs exemplify the moments of truth, then rest assured that all our members will have a safe, supportive, and a successful learning environment to achieve their objectives. Before I hand over to our presenters today, let me first of all call on a very special friend, our dear District Director, Dtm Nelson Meneses, to address the audience. Over to you, Dtm Nelson.
Good morning, members of District 105. This morning, we have all gathered for a district education session, Moments of Truth. Warm welcome. It is really a teamwork because the Club Road Director team led by Rania and our program quality team led by Dtm Gurvinder Singh Pan have joined together to give that unique experience to every member of District 105. The IT team has taken every precaution so that everything is to the T, and we are streaming this event live so that more and more audience can make use of this session. So kudos to Team PQD and CGD for coming up with this session, which I feel will benefit every member of our district. Our club mission rightly says that we provide a mutually supportive and positive learning experiment. What happens? It develops self-confidence and leadership skills. And ultimately, a member experiences self-confidence and personal growth. This is a mission for every club. But at times, clubs do not fulfill this mission. They are unable to achieve this mission. We find members losing, the mentors are not assigned, poor implementation of the education program, the mentee-mentee program, mentee-mentee program is not effective. There could be various reasons. Whether a club is 30 years old or relatively new, there is a need for every club across the world, not only in District 105, to do a self-evaluation to understand what we need to do to take our club forward. And I'm so happy this morning that we have 2 experienced trainers who I know personally. One, first, distinguished Toastmaster Ganesh Rahman, a person who speaks less but full of knowledge, and he will ensure he gives you full tools and resources to ensure that your club will evaluate the performance and just check in line whether you fulfill the club mission, whether our members achieve that mission where they experience unique personal growth and foster self-confidence. The other is my friend Samir GP, someone whom I'm so greatly associated. He was my key integral part in my club pro director team. And I still remember during my term as CGD, he used to conduct moments of truth in clubs as part of the CGD team member. A very warm-hearted, simple person who smiles a lot. So these two trainers, I wish you all the best. Have a wonderful session and give our members the tools and resources they need to perform their roles brilliantly and thereby fulfill the club mission. Members of District 105 from Lebanon, Jordan, UAE, Abu Dhabi, Oman, I have a special request this morning. I have just received the pathways adoption rates statistics from TMI, and the statistics are a bit alarming because from 1st of July 2020, we all know we will be adopting only pathways. But our pathways adoption rate across District 105 is only 80.74%. The new members is 57.40%. And most astonishing is our club officers, the percentage is 90.83%. I repeat, the club officers, 90.83%, which means that 9.17% of our existing club officers have not yet adopted pathways. So I encourage you all to give focus on pathways to ensure every member at least gets enrolled in pathways. This is something we need to take it very seriously. To every district officer message, we need to have a district which is 100% pathways adopted. I wish Toastmaster Samir GP and distinguished Toastmaster Ganesh Rahman the very best for a fabulous session. And once again, kudos to our PQD, Dtm Gurbinder and CGD, Dtm Rania for organizing the session for our members. I'm sure our members will benefit a lot. Wishing you all the best, and back to you, CGD Rania. Good luck.
Thank you so much, DTM Nelson, for this inspirational and very valuable message. Oh, there was a round of applause. Sorry for that. So let's hear the round of applause, and then I'll continue. Thank you so much, DTM Nelson, again, for this inspirational and very important message. Thank you so much for gracing our event this morning. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Before I hand over to our presenters today, just to pinpoint for our audience that you can put your questions in the chat. You have the chat box, so please put your questions that might come up and pop up in your mind throughout the session. Because we'll have dedicated Q&A sessions right after the two presenters finish their segments. So now our first presenter is a dear friend of mine as well. I've known him for so many years. He's been a Toastmasters based in UAE, in Sharjah, for over 12 years. And he has held a lot of leadership roles at the club and area level. Was the education chair in 2015. Probably that's where we both had a very close interaction because I was the judges coordinator at the time. One of the most exciting DTACs, I would say, that year, 2015. And he's one of the best evaluators, in my opinion. I mean, I always look up into his evaluations and the way he handles this detailed. That's why probably one of the reasons you thought of him today for this segment, because of his detailed evaluation and taking care of details. He's also contested on so many levels at the area, club division level, and has been winning in so many contests. And also he's been instrumental in creating a lot of clubs for the district. Currently, he's a member of Emirates Toastmasters and Dubai Advanced Toastmasters Club. And he's someone who believes in creating lasting impressions, even if not the best first impressions. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put your hands together for a thunderous virtual round of applause for our first presenter, Dtm Ganesh Rahman. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Rania, for that. and thank you for the opportunity to present to this August gathering. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, leaders of the district and clubs and areas and divisions. In the next 30 minutes, I'm going to endeavor to refresh your memories about what Toastmasters International expects us to do when it comes to moments of truth. A lot of you would be seasoned Toastmasters who for many years have been members and have held leadership positions. I have been a member, as Rania pointed out, for over a decade. And yet, when I was preparing for this particular session, there were quite a number of things which still surprised me. And I can assure you, when we go through these moments of truth and the expectations, something in there is likely to catch your eye and surprise you. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to walk you through the Toastmasters International presentation pack. This is what all clubs are expected to follow. And I'm going to send some messaging as we go over this pack together. As Rania pointed out, if you have any questions, please make a note of them in the chat box. And towards the end of this session, after Samir also finishes, we will open the forum up for questions. So bear with me for a moment while I share my screen, and then we'll be ready to start. Right. So I'm hoping everybody is able to see my screen now. Could I have a oral confirmation from either Rania or Toastmaster Gurbinder?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yes, you can see your screen, yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Right. So moments of truth. I think both Toastmaster Rania as well as our district director have spoken about it. So we are all kind of aware of what moments of truth are, and we normally equate it to the first impressions that people arrive at when they experience something. Now, people who are in the sales and customer service industry, they're very, very familiar with this term because this is something which is indoctrinated, and every individual who is customer facing is expected to be aware and fully aware of moments of truth and the ability to influence these moments of truth. So let's see what Toastmasters International has to say about moments of truth. So this is the definition that Toastmasters International wants us to be aware of. It's an episode where a person comes in contact with any aspect of Toastmasters experience and forms an impression of a club's quality and service. I think the most important aspect here is in contact with any aspect of Toastmasters. Mind you, in today's world, when we are joining meetings virtually, a lot of us come online maybe 5 minutes early, 10 minutes early. And what a guest or a member experiences in those 5 to 10 minutes before a meeting starts is also an aspect that can influence the first impression. The kind of conversations we have, the chatter, the banter, the camaraderie, the organization of the meeting, the communication before the meeting begins, your WhatsApp chats, you invite guests over to groups, the conversations that are ongoing in these groups, all of these have the potential to create a moment of truth, have the potential to create a favorable or an unfavorable impression of the club's quality. So I think as leaders, we need to be very watchful. We need to be careful about what we say, how we say it, what we present, and how we present. Not just ourselves, but every aspect of the club's operation. So with this definition in mind, we'll go forward and see what Toastmasters International expects every club to be proficient at. Rania mentioned there are 6 pillars in Toastmasters Moments of Truth. These are the 6 pillars. You will be surprised to note that Toastmasters International actually thinks of these not as only tools or recommendations or guidelines. Toastmasters actually call it the standards. Now, by definition, a standard is something that is expected to be met. I repeat, a standard is something that is expected to be met, which means these are not just guidelines for us. These are not just suggestions for us. These are not just tools to improve the quality of the club or the experience for its members. These are standards to be met at every club across the world. This is a tool that Toastmasters International uses to ensure that a member, no matter where he or she attends a meeting in the world, across the globe, has exactly or a very similar experience, as I said, regardless of where they're attending the meeting. So these are the 6 pillars that we're going to talk about. There are certain expectations, as I've mentioned, under each of these areas. They are fairly straightforward, and those of us who've been with Toastmasters a long time will immediately relate to them. These are things that we've all come across before. We continue to come across these on a daily basis as we attend meetings. But somewhere, I believe, we have become a little complacent. You will realize that we don't necessarily look at all of these standards as closely as we ought to be. So first impressions: membership orientation, fellowship, program planning, strength of membership, and recognizing achievements. So these are the 6 areas. And under each of these areas, there are about 5 to 6 specific standards that Toastmasters International expects us to meet. So let's get going. First impressions. As you can see, all of these have to do with how guests form their first opinion about the club or its members. A lot of this we already do. Maybe there are a couple of areas where things could improve. Now, this is where I invite all of the attendees on the call to start analyzing a little bit as you listen to these standards and you listen to the expectations that Toastmasters is setting for us, and see if your club is doing these things to the best of its abilities. There's always scope for improvement. And if there is something that we aren't following or it's fallen off, then it is time to pick it up again and make sure that we are meeting these standards. So guests greeted warmly, normally they are. One thing that we probably don't do enough is introduce them to club officers and members. A lot of times members come on to, or guests come on to calls. I do know the presidents in most of these clubs will invite them to introduce themselves. They'll have the opportunity to perhaps participate in a table topic session. And if time permits, generally we come around to taking feedback from guests. So I think the guests generally feel engaged and involved, no doubt about it. The standard expects us to also introduce them to club officers and other members. Now, in the virtual world, it might be slightly difficult or even different than how we would do in a physical setting. Nonetheless, the standard expects us that guests would immediately be introduced to officers as well as members. Have a guest book and name tags. Very useful, obviously, when we're doing face-to-face meetings. When we return to the physical setting, I think a lot of good clubs do this. Right at the reception desk of a club, you will find a guest book and people take down details, etc. Very, very important. It gives a very professional look to the entire meeting. Name tags help. Now, in the virtual world, obviously, we can all put our names, and I encourage every participant and every member and guest to label their little videos with the correct names. Sometimes we find people are joining with smartphones, so you'll find the label says, an iPhone or a Galaxy phone or an MI. Names are important. And why are names important? You might have heard that a name is the sweetest sounding word for an individual in any language. Is the sweetest sound in the world in any language for an individual. So call people by name, address them by name. And it's important that guests also get to see the names of other members and club officers. Professionally arranged meeting room, obviously in a physical setting, on Zoom. Obviously, nowadays, all of these meetings are set up in advance. We are communicating details, etc. So all of that is good. Please continue to do that. Meeting locations sometimes can be inconvenient if you don't have parking, etc. Well, not a problem right now over Zoom. Extremely convenient. We can be sat anywhere in the world and still attend meetings. Guests, as I've mentioned, should be invited to address clubs. And eventually, of course, the end game is that we would like guests to join us. So about 6 standards that need to be met to create a positive first impression as per Toastmasters International. For membership orientation, so this is something that I see when clubs age over a period of time, some of these standards become lax. I've witnessed this as many clubs. A formal induction doesn't happen as many times as it used to in the past. If your clubs are doing it, then kudos to you. Fantastic. It's a fantastic experience for new members, I can assure you that. Including a presentation of the pin and manuals. Manuals nowadays obviously either go directly to the members, or we don't even get physical manuals anymore. We use online resources. But there was a day when we would line up in front of the entire club, and the club officers, either the president or the membership vice president, would give us a pin, give us our manuals in our hands, and we would feel really welcome and charged up when there are about 20-25 people looking on at this ceremony. So I honestly believe if there is an opportunity to create that ceremony, it is extremely important that we do so. The second item here is an assignment of a mentor. Now, mentoring, I know, is a hot topic. It always has been. I've been a Toastmaster 12 years, and for 12 years, every club that I've been to seems to struggle at some level with mentors and mentorship. Now, as you can see, it's a standard. And this took me also by surprise, because we generally say mentorship, the relationship is voluntary. And between the mentee and the mentor, they've got to figure out a way to make that relationship work. But every member, especially new member, is expected to be assigned a mentor. And this is the responsibility of the education committee of the club. This is a standard to be met. And if 20 out of 25 members aren't assigned a mentor, then we have some serious work to do. Education programs, recognition system discussed. I think the important bit is about discussion. This is again something that's kind of fading away. I don't see many clubs talking openly about the education programs. There's an awareness about pathways. People conduct education sessions about pathways, but we don't normally discuss. In fact, I'll be honest, I don't know what other members in my clubs have achieved, what programs they're doing, what pathways they're on, how many speeches they've finished, where do they stand, vis-a-vis where do I stand. So discussion around these is again a standard. And I think this is something that we ought to do a lot more than we get to see nowadays. Assessment of learning needs. There's a very a corporate thing to do if you look at it, but it's a very good practice. How many members, especially new members, have their needs assessed? In fact, ever since the Pathways has been launched, we normally do our own needs assessment by going in and filling out questionnaires on the website and figuring out what we should be doing. Yes, it's a voluntary organization and the learning is completely voluntary. However, a lot of members can benefit if the VP Education or other senior members of the club sit down and analyze what their learning needs are, prioritize them, and see what Pathways programs will best meet those needs. Accommodations for members with disabilities, again, in a physical setting, what is it that we can do to support anybody with different abilities? Speaking roles are generally assigned. We know that for a fact. In fact, 80% of the effort that goes into putting the meeting together is in identifying speaking roles and role players. And members involved in club activities. So as far as possible, try and involve as many members as possible in all of the club activities. Don't restrict it to small committees. Committees are a very good way of doing this, of course, to distribute the workload, but make sure that all members get an opportunity. Fellowship obviously is built over time when guests and members feel at home. A lot of us have stuck to our clubs for years and years simply because the fellowship, the variety, and the communication between members is absolutely superlative. And we've never really found the need to switch clubs or go over to other clubs. Even when we become dual members, a lot of us think about our original club as the home club. That says a lot. And if members transition into becoming that comfortable in your club as quickly as possible, then they'll stick around a long, long time. Some of the important bits are, of course, keeping your meetings enjoyable. Number 3, I think, is something that we could do a little more. I know in the virtual world it's a little difficult, but on the other hand, it's actually easier to come together on a Zoom call. Not talk about Toastmasters, but just gather to have fun and interact and have a social event online. But regularly scheduled social events. Many clubs struggle with finances, and I know for a fact that a lot of clubs never do a social event. But I can assure you, if members are willing, with minimal economic damage, you can actually hold quite a number of social events in a year. You could do sporting events, you could have fun events with families, you could have dinners, you could have all kinds. But a regularly scheduled social event is something that is a standard. Can you believe that? I always thought it was a good thing to do, but now I know that it's a standard that needs to be maintained. Of course, participation in area, district, and international events goes without saying. Inter-club events are competitive in nature most times. A lot of joint meetings happen nowadays between clubs. I think that's to be encouraged. And all of that brings people together. It creates that fellowship. Club newsletters, websites, social media has taken off like anything over the last decade. I think involving more and more members in creating some of the content and maintaining some of this content online will also help them feel more at home. So those are the first 3 pillars. The next 3, program planning, goes without saying. I think a lot of us, since we have joined Toastmasters, have now become people who like structure, who like organized events. We like to have some predictability. We like to know in advance what's going to happen. We like to come prepared. There is still a population of about 10–15%, I believe, who actually are more spontaneous. They don't really mind if there isn't proper planning. They don't mind if they don't know what they're getting into. The trouble is if such a person becomes a VP education, then you've had it, because even though the job will get done, and by all means, I'm not suggesting that they are incompetent. They are absolutely competent. It's just that their way of working is different than how a more structured, organized, prepared person prefers to work. Toastmasters International wants to promote the idea of having planned meetings publicized in advance. I think we are doing a great job right across the world with virtual meetings. Our agendas are in place, our posters come out much in advance, and pretty much everybody knows and doesn't have an excuse of saying, I don't know, because it's publicized so much. So great job there. Members prepare to carry out program assignments. I think new members might need a little bit of cajoling. At the same time, very seasoned Toastmasters also perhaps need a little bit of cajoling. They don't always volunteer. They presume that the new members would volunteer more easily and faster. But I think every now and then, getting members together to discuss what we are doing, how we are doing, is a worthwhile exercise. And Moments of Truth is precisely that exercise. Club meeting is expected to have all of the projects from the manuals. I think this is important. Every club generally follows the pathway program now, and in the past we used to have the old system of the different manuals. Just a reiteration that Toastmasters International expects any project that's delivered in a meeting is a manual project. Meetings begin and end on time, very, very important. I think a lot of us expect it. We have meetings before the Toastmasters meeting. We generally have engagements afterwards as well. We have a lot of commitments, as I said, before and after. And if you don't begin and end on time, it doesn't bode well for Toastmasters. It's not professional, and a lot of new members and guests may be put off if you are not able to begin and end on time. It is a reflection of the fact that we are not organized enough, or we have not executed our plans proficiently enough. So very important to begin and end on time. Creative table topics and activities goes without saying. I think the maximum innovation that we have seen in Toastmasters over the years in clubs is around table topics and how they are conducted. So I wouldn't really want to stress that too much. Positive and helpful evaluations, well, what can we say? Evaluations, feedback is the only way people improve. It's the only way that we can help members and guests. So having not only the intent of providing positive and helpful evaluations, but also the capability to do that is important. So please make sure that we are honest. Please make sure that we are polite whenever we evaluate, but please also make sure that you're direct about where the individual needs to improve. Because if we don't, the individual doesn't improve and the program fails. So positive and helpful evaluations, very, very important. Again, remember, it's a standard. A standard is an expectation to be met. Membership strength, 20 plus allows you to participate in the DCP. We all know that. A big struggle is around retaining members. There's a lot of turnover. People are transient in this part of the world. People come, people go. I always believe retention is important, yes, but you must continually invite people in as well. So yes, the exit door is open and people continue to leave, but you must make sure there's another door open where the guests and the members keep coming in. So very, very important that regular membership building programs are conducted so that there's a steady stream of guests and there's a steady stream of members coming in. And even if we are not able to retain all of them, we still have a strong membership base, a minimum of 20. I believe a 40 is a good number because you will get about 50, 60% attending all meetings. But a minimum of 40, I think, is a great number to achieve. The rest of the standards are fairly self-explanatory. Club programs to be varied and exciting, promoting members and clubs, activities in the organization and community, very important. And Toastmasters who sponsor new members are recognized. I know back in the day, we used to have a Hall of Fame or a Wall of Fame, and people who would sponsor new members, who would bring in new members, would be recognized openly And obviously, it wasn't left only to VP membership to do all the grunt work and bring members in. Any member who would sponsor another new member would be ably recognized, and it used to be a moment of pride for the member sponsoring as well. So some of these practices, I don't see them happen as much as they used to in the past. So good reminder for all of us to focus on these standards and make sure that we are going ahead. Finally, the last pillar is recognizing achievement. I think a lot of this we do already, and we'll continue to do. There are no two ways about it. Applying for awards immediately. Progress chart. This one is an interesting one. I remember many, many years ago, at one of our clubs, we used to have a huge poster, a really wall-length poster, which would highlight every member's achievements across the 40 projects. In those days, we used to have those 40 to get to DTM. 40 speaking projects, all the leadership projects, eventually the DTM award. And everybody had a little box that would be colored green as we progress along our paths. And in one view, you could see who's doing what, where they are, and where you are compared to other people in the club. I don't think we do that very often nowadays. As I said, I don't even know where people are at in their own paths nowadays. So maybe something to revive and use the online tools that are available today to display some of these things. Members' achievements recognized with ceremony. I think with ceremony is the important piece here. We should celebrate it, and we should make noise about it. We should let people know about it at the club, at the district, and the international as well. Of course, leaders are recognized everywhere, and that's good practice. I've seen this happen quite a lot. Wherever we go, we always acknowledge the leaders amongst us. Achievements publicized. We do that in social media nowadays. Maybe also during meetings, bring it up and have the opportunity to applaud whilst there are people watching. And finally, DCP used for planning and recognition. I haven't honestly seen DCP presentation before the end of the year. A lot of clubs do this towards the end of the year to suggest how many points they've made. But I think it's a good tool to use in discussions as well throughout the course of your tenure, so that everybody in the club is aware of where you stand, what's being planned, who's doing what, and what help is required to get to our 10 on 10. All right, so these are all the standards. Does your club meet standards? That's the exercise that the district will talk to you about. What we used to do in the past, and you can still do in a physical setting, is run a Moments of Truth activity or a workshop in your clubs. That is what we want to encourage. We want to ask you to organize this in your club meetings, whether that's during the virtual setting or in a physical setting, whenever we get to physical meetings. Toastmasters International provides a handout which can be used. I'm going to very quickly share the handout with you, just so you're aware of the tools that are available. So very quickly, if you could let me know if you can see this particular PDF that I've brought up.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yes, we can see it, yeah.
Excellent. So this is page 2. If I scroll up a little bit, you will find these are the standards that have begun. These are Toastmasters International tools available readily. It's from the Successful Club series. You Google it, you'll immediately receive these. You get a handout, you get the presentation pack that I'm using. You also get a one-pager chart, which shows all of the standards in one place on one page. What is expected, of course, is to examine each of these 6 areas, each of the standards that I've talked to you about, and provide a rating to it. It's like a satisfaction survey. Employees do it in companies. Members can do it for their clubs. Now, there are multiple ways of handling this. You could either do it in small groups. Sometimes the disadvantage of using groups to do this is not everybody gets heard, or the most boisterous member in that particular group ends up providing all of the ratings and the others don't voice their opinions as much. So a lot of clubs promote individual rating, which means you give this handout to every member and seek their inputs. So it's fairly straightforward, like you would fill out a customer satisfaction survey or an employee satisfaction survey. The rating scale is provided right on the top. There's a little typo, 1 to 5 from left to right is how you're supposed to read it. So we never meet the standard versus we always meet the standard. Remember, they keep emphasizing this is a standard and the expectation is that it is to be met. And each of these standards, then you can, in these boxes in these tables, you can provide a rating from 1 to 3. So you can see there are the 6 standards. Out here on page 2, as you can see, 1 to 5 is mentioned. So you would put a rating. Now, once all of the members have provided their inputs, you as the leadership team could decide to consolidate these, collect these, and arrive at consolidated results, which in a business session, I would encourage you to feedback. Also run a Moments of Truth workshop, perhaps, where you facilitate, not only sharing of the results, but also facilitate how to improve, where we need to improve. So naturally, from these results, you will get to know what are the areas that the club members feel are a challenge, are not being met. You could definitely involve them in finding the solutions for the issues. Every club will have challenges. Every club has the capability to find solutions to these challenges. What can be done to address it? So these are part of the handouts, right? You don't necessarily have to use it exactly the way it is, but these are tools available, and Toastmasters International obviously encourages you to use its tools. There are certain suggestions as well. So you'll find a little chart that comes along with this handout. Let me change the view for you a little bit so you're able to see it. So again, there are about 5 or 6 areas in which Toastmasters International guesses there might be some challenges, potential challenges, and recommendations have been provided. As you can see, the handout very clearly identifies, okay, there could be a couple of challenges around guests, what could be causing these, and what recommendations does Toastmasters give you. So this is all information that you can use to problem solve. Of course, before you get here, you can ask your members to be involved in brainstorming and identifying certain solutions, recommendations that come through. You can agree what recommendations are actionable, what needs to be done, and then put together an action plan to get down to implementing it. Right. So different areas suggested by Toastmasters. One is guests, very important for first impressions and evaluations. That's to do with how well people get evaluations and improve in their speaking abilities. Membership achievement, are we recognizing them? Orientation and membership retention and strength. Mentoring, these seem to be the most common areas of challenges in clubs, and that's why Toastmasters International have addressed it. Now, as I said, very, very important for members to feel that they are in the environment that supports their growth. Otherwise, members leave. A club and its leadership needs to do everything it can to ensure that the standards of Toastmasters International are met at all times, that we are improving as we go along, that a member is receiving what they have signed up for. And Moments of Truth is a tool, is a set of standards that if we meet, will pretty much guarantee that we have quality meetings, the club is highly recognized, members feel like being at the club, and members actually grow with the club. So very important to conduct this activity regularly, at least once, if not twice a year, just to see where we stand as a club. Toastmasters International feels we never get a second chance to create the first impression. Yeah. But I believe in lasting impressions. So if there's anything at all that we can do to improve that impression that we're currently creating, I think we should take that chance. So all the best to you at your clubs. I wish that you are able to conduct this exercise successfully, implement the solutions provided by your members, and grow together and achieve what not just Toastmasters International wants, but what our club members want. So good luck, and I will rejoin the question and answer session towards the end of this meeting. So I'll hand you back to your able leader, Toastmaster Rania.
Can you have a big round of applause for our amazing presenter?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rania. Pleasure.
See, I've been a member for 15 years, and I probably listened to Moments of Truth presentations by so many people. I would say this is one of the best Moments of Truth introductions I've ever heard. You've even opened my eyes on some of the things that I wasn't even aware of. Thank you so much, Dtm Ganesh, for such an enlightening and detailed explanation. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. You've made my day, Rania. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sir. Thank you so much. Now let's move on to our second presenter, another dear friend of mine as well, who is a creative thinker and a conversationalist. I always keep having a hard time to say conversationalist. He's the founder and curator of Awesome Walkers, which is a very creative platform to inspire and motivate people. I've been there before, and it's really, really fantastic. And he's so good at the art of deep conversations, a trained practitioner of NLP, coaching methods, and has a wide experience in applying his unique style of coaching within enterprises and across industries. Has been a Toastmaster since 2014, a member of TGIS Toastmasters Club, and he's currently the quality chair of the club growth team for District 105. Without further ado, please give us a second virtual round of applause for TM Samir GP.
Thank you very much, Dtm Rania, for that warm introduction. And thank you, each and every one of you over here, 225 participants, for joining us in today for this session. Thank you, Ganesh, for laying down the groundwork for my presentation, because I'm going to be building on what you have just shared. Now, 1996 years ago, when Ralph C. Smedley started this movement that we are all a part of in California, I don't think he would have ever imagined that another company from California would be the reason why we are all sitting here today during this pandemic, seeing a presentation like this. Zoom is headquartered in California as well. And the fact that times are changing is a good reminder to each one of us that our ways sometimes will have to change, and how we do things has to change. So what I'm going to be doing today over here is going to be sharing with you. Let me just pull up my slide first. And what I'm going to be sharing over here today is the digital tools that the district has created for each and every club, perhaps to use if they find it useful for them. Now, think about it like this. There is the traditional way of doing things. If you have seen this phone in your lifetime, it means you're old enough to have lived a rich life. In the sense that there is a time and there is a place for everything. Today, what we are living in is a very digital era where things have changed so dramatically. And yes, in spite of this, you can see that the pandemic has brought in new ways of looking at things. We wouldn't have, for example, a couple of months ago, even imagined that we would have a training like this where people from all around the world would be able to sit in while they're at home and listen to a Toastmaster meeting and be part of a learning experience. But truth be told, this is the reality that we are living in today. As Club Quality Team, what we're also looking to do is to bring the best practices from across the district and see what are the things that other clubs are doing that we can actually share with clubs across. Now, intention is not to impose, but it is to inform, inspire, and perhaps see how we can actually do things a little different. We have been looking at what different clubs are doing, and today what we'll be doing is we'll be sharing a methodology that has been adopted by one of the clubs in Oman, the Orbit Toastmasters. And my deep acknowledgement and thanks to the Orbit Toastmasters, where they have implemented what you're going to see over here. And there is Ramanujam, who was also the one who opened today's meeting, who has been critical in designing the tools that we are going to see today. So deep thanks to Ram as well. Now, again, I'd like to enforce and state that whatever you're going to see moving forward is not being imposed, it's just to inform and inspire and influence and see if you'd like to adopt it this way or you'd like to go the traditional way. Now, the traditional way is where you come into a club meeting, you conduct a workshop in the meeting, and you finish everything within the meeting, and then you submit a report to the XCOM. And you can still perhaps do that in the virtual world where you put them into breakout rooms and do everything. But I have, over the past 2-3 years, have been conducting moments of truth for various clubs. I used to do it in my club, and then I started doing it in other clubs, and I started designing a particular way of conducting moments of truth, which I found much more effective than conducting an in-workshop in the club, when you're doing it in the club also in groups. And what I mean to say is this: when you're conducting groups, what will happen is there'll be a few people who have a lot of experience, and they will overpower the decision or the information that goes around, and not everyone gets a voice sometimes. So this will also address that particular scenario. Let me get into it. The whole product or the whole MOT digital tools, what the district has designed over here and is presenting over here today, is based on 7 steps that you can actually take and adopt to conduct the moments of truth exercise within your club. Step 1 is to set. Step 2 is release. Step 3 is prepare. Step 4 is present. Step 5 is submit. Step 6 is declare. And step 7 is revisit. And in this process, what happens is you will make sure that doing the moments of truth exercise is truly beneficial and not just another exercise that you do to tick a box. Let me dive a little deeper into each one of these steps. The first step, set. Intention is everything. If you set the right intentions, the outcomes that you will generate as a result of it will be truly magnificent. Without intention, if you start doing any activity, what happens is you truly don't really get the full purpose. You will have an intention, but is it an empowering intention? Is it something that is guiding you to create better results for yourself and your club and the members and the area and the division and the district, is what you have to think about. Now, at a club level, you perhaps may not be thinking about area, division, or district. But even from a club level, ask yourself this question: what is the intention that you're setting? And then what you do is you set a moderator for the whole moments of truth exercise and a panel. And I'll explain this. What the panel means is there are 6 verticals or 6 sections, as Dtm Ganesh mentioned, that we will be all evaluating. And 6 of these have within it 6 different parameters. So identify 6 panelists to be on the team. And I'll tell you why very soon. And there'll be one principal moderator who is overlooking this entire process. Now, in a traditional way, what happens is you will have one person who is a moderator or facilitator of the moments of truth exercise within a club. And then you would have 6 teams perhaps within the club, and they would have a group discussion. And then there would be one person from each panel who would discuss it. It is very similar to that. What we are doing is we are not moving away anything that has been proposed by TMI All we are doing is we are looking at a different approach where you get a deeper and better understanding and results from your club members, from each and every one. So what you do is first you set a date. You define when you want to do the moments of truth within your club. Then what you do is you identify the moderator. Then you identify who will be the panelists. The moderator or the club can decide who the panelists will be. Or the club president or the excom can decide all these things. So first you do the set. And when you do the setting, you get a link. And this link has been created by the district once again. And this link is downloaded by the moderator first. Once you download this link, you will get a link which will ask you to make a copy. Once you make a copy, then that Google Sheet becomes unique to your exercise that you will be doing with your club. So make a copy of the Moments of Truth survey. Then the next thing that you do is release. You release the questionnaire to the members. So once you click the link and you make a link, you will get a link which is similar to this. Now, if you're watching this video and if you're trying to type this out and give this to your club members' attention, please do not do that. This is a unique link that is created when I click the link. When you click a link, you will get, when you click this link, you will get a unique document. This is what you will share with each one of your club members. So you can do it through the WhatsApp group and you can ask each one to click on the link and answer the survey form. Now, what this does is it gets each and every member's opinion. I was talking the other day to one of the club officers of a club and I was asking them, when are you going to do the Moments of Truth? And what they said was this: we have a few members right now who have just joined in. We'd like to do the member orientation before we do the Moments of Truth. So perhaps we'll be doing it in September. Now, this was a beautiful way of acknowledging that they are really aware of what the Moments of Truth exercise includes, and then to make sure that they are getting everyone on board in terms of what the goal, what the club has to be achieving. And this is the mindset that we should be having, where there was one time when I did the Moments of Truth exercise in a club and the numbers were going a little lower. And people sometimes what they do when you do it in groups and when you have a facilitator either within the club or outside the club, they want to raise the numbers so that they don't look bad. Now, these numbers are not about looking good or looking bad. It's just about showing where you are and where you would like to go is what the numbers would be indicating. So just look at those numbers as just as an indicator of the progress that the club should be making, and not as a measure of whether the club is doing a good job or a bad job, but what is the improvement. And if that becomes the focus of allowing the Moments of Truth exercise to be your guidepost, to be your barometer, to be the tool that allows you to plan ahead and make sure that you are really creating the roadmap for your club's success and your members' success and your members having a great experience within the club, then you'll see that this is truly a tool where you will have honest feedback, and therefore you will be able to have real-time inputs into seeing how you can progress. So you'll have these two, you'll have the whole form where you can go through the survey form. And once you do the survey form, you'll see at the top there is questions and there is responses. Now, these responses are identified by the moderator. Only the moderator gets to view the responses. And what we've done is, while we're preparing the whole tool, we've also created something where you will get a report like this. Now, whoever is the moderator would remove or take screenshots of the results and they would put it into a PowerPoint. And then they would give these results to the panelist. And what the panelists would do is do interviews as much as possible with key members within the club or with new members, or identify what is the best way to understand where the club stands in each one of these 6 pillars, and if what needs to be addressed and what needs to be taken as an action moving forward. And they prepare a complete presentation that has to be made to the club. So to present to the club would be the next thing. So you organize the club meeting, and at the club meeting, you will present the results of the exercise that you have done, which is the survey. And you have done a deeper analysis of the entire situation, and then you start preparing. Now, here is a template of the Moments of Truth, what we can again share with the clubs and the district, where it would have each one of these 6 pillars and what each pillar is and how to present the whole report. Now, this can be used as a template. And again, I want to reinforce over here, we are not defining that you should use this presentation itself. You can create your own presentation. But the idea is when you see that there are tools like this available and you can actually take and adopt and simplify the whole process and make sure that your club has an overall clear understanding of where you stand. So when you're doing the scoring on the tools, on the survey form, you'll see that in this particular instance, guests are greeted warmly and introduced to club officers and other members. 24 responses, out of which 45.8% usually meets the standard and 45.8 always meets the standard. So it gives them a clear indicator of what they should be focusing on, whether they should be focusing on it, and they can go on with the presentation in this manner. The next thing is to submit this report. Now, we have created the Moments of Truth, the entire program, entire survey form, and the submitting form, both in English and Arabic. Now, what we truly believe as a district and from the club growth team and also the program quality team is this becomes like an audit that you're doing at the very beginning of the year with your club members. And it is a very important exercise because it gives you the guidance, it gives you the direction, it gives you the impetus to actually take these actions for the betterment of the club. And therefore, what we have done is this year, we have made sure that we get all the clubs within the district to do this exercise of Moments of Truth. And that is the reason why you're watching this presentation today. That is the reason why we have also indicated this as a requirement for your clubs to apply for program quality or for the club awards that will be rolling out this year. Now, once you have created the forms, once you've filled up this form, the club will submit this to the area director, their own respective area directors. This gives the area director also a direction of what the club has defined as a way forward for planning to make sure that the club members succeed at every level. Now, once a club submits this to the area director has a form over here which they will use to submit to the district. And this one will be used towards the awards. So to the PQD team, you send it to that address, and to the CGD team, you send it to this address. Now we have already circulated emails to all the area directors and the leaders with regards to the information that you're seeing over here right now. The next thing is also to declare. Now, a lot of times I have seen where people conduct the Moments of Truth exercise and then they keep it to themselves. The ExCom keeps it to themselves and they don't declare it or they don't announce it to the club members that this is what we are looking to do for the year coming ahead. This is what our goal is. This is what our mission is. This is what our vision is. There are times I've seen where club members or club ExComs, they go through the ups and downs in their cycle of journey of the club. And if you want to keep it sustaining and if you want to keep it growing, then what you have to do is you have to build on what has been created by the leaders that has come before you, but also to see what are the things that you could be doing moving forward so that you can take what has worked, discard what is not, and see what has to happen to build upon this more. And when you declare to your club members, then what happens is you are stating an accountability to your club members. And that gives you an imperative and gives you an opportunity to live up to the expectations that you set of yourself as ExCom leaders within your club. Now, it is not only the responsibility of the ExCom to make a club successful, right? It is the responsibility of each and every member to make sure that the club succeeds. And when they are only included in the process, will they find it their responsibility. If they are not aware of what the goal of the club is, how would they be able to contribute? How would they be able to do things that is expected of them? For example, greet the guests warmly and invite more guests to club meetings. The standards that Ganesh had just mentioned, a lot of club members are not even aware of that these are standards to which they should live up to. For example, the socials that has to be conducted. What I truly believe is this: the success of any club does not really happen just during the meetings. It also happens what you do between the meetings, because you're only attending 2 meetings a month. And if that is the only thing that you're attending, if you miss a meeting, then you're meeting the members after a month completely. Then what happens? You don't have the opportunity to build stronger relationships. And if you want to really grow the club, and if you want to really grow yourself, then what is truly important is to grow the environment that you are in. And when you're growing the environment that you're in, then you'll start seeing that everything will start falling into place. And the last one is revisit. And this is very critical. What happens is people do the moments of truth exercise, they create a report, they might even declare it, but they will not go revisit it. They will not do anything about it. They will just forget that this whole exercise was done. And they might not even forget it, but they are really not creating an opportunity for them to have a reality check. They're not looking at how far they have gone ahead and what needs to be done more, or what is not being done, or what is being ignored is lost in the whole cacophony of all the things that will happen as a result of you moving towards 6 months from now, where you'll have club contests and area contests and division contests and then DCP points. And you sometimes start losing the plot of what you are doing today, what the moments of truth exercise that you have executed today. So a reality check has to be factored into the whole exercise of doing the moments of truth, if you truly believe that you want to get value, true value during your term as leaders. So how do you go about it? You can do all of this in one day if you would like to, and finish it off in one day just to tick the box. Or here is a pattern that Orbit had executed, and see if that resonates with you. These numbers, once again, what is being proposed is not being fixed in clear terms, but let me give you the logic. On day one, what you do is you do step one. That is, you set. And once you set the goal, then you have also set the moderator, you have set the plan in action, you have identified the panelists and all that stuff. On day two, you release it to the club. You release the questionnaire to the club on day one, where you have already downloaded the link that was given earlier. Day two, you release the new link that has been created uniquely for your club, for the club members. Once you do that, then the next 3 to 9 days, you prepare, you do your interviews, you collate data, you collate detail, you get in touch with the members, and you identify inputs so that you get a clearer understanding of the entire scenario. And once you have unique perspectives, and if you would like to have group interviews, or if you'd like to have group discussions with a few members, or if you'd like, you can define how you prepare to present on day 10. So you have enough time to do the PowerPoint presentations. You have enough time to actually go through the whole process of mulling over and seeing what is it the club is doing, discuss with the earlier XCOM and see what were their challenges and what they have done and what could be done moving forward. Do all that in preparation stage. And when you move to step 4, where you are presenting, then that is happening in a club meeting. Once you do it in the club meeting, day 11, the very next day, immediately submit it to the club XCOM. Whoever is the moderator, submit the report to the XCOM with the recommendations, with the advices and everything. And the club XCOM also, they will finalize, they will identify what they have to do moving forward based on the recommendations, and then they have to declare it immediately to the club members, what their goals are and what they're going to do. They also make sure that it is submitted to the area directors so that the area director can take action and submit it to the district. The clubs need not submit it to the district at all directly. They will submit it to the area directors, because the area directors is the one who will be in touch with them to guide them and to make sure that they are going on this amazing journey of the goals that they have set for themselves. And the last one is 6 months from the day that you have done your MOT, set a date in stone and announce it and declare it that we will be doing our next MOT, where we will be doing a reality check and we'll revisit our goals and what we have done to make sure that we have been on this path of transformation, setting goals, achieving them, working towards them as a team. This is what you can share with your club members. And therefore, what will happen is you will see very naturally, very effortlessly, as a team, you will start bonding and you'll start achieving things together. And that will be the true measure of your club's success. I'd like to leave you with a quote by Marshall McLuhan. What he says is this: First, we build the tools, and then they build us. So, my dear friends, whatever has been shared over here today, it is not about the moments of truth tools or the digital tools really. What truly is this is a part of building us as individuals, as Toastmasters, as fantastic individuals that will go out and impact society, that will go out and impact our workplaces, that will go and impact our personal lives. These tools are not what is truly important. Building ourselves is what is important. But first, we got to start somewhere. And these tools is what we will build on. And these tools are the things that we could use to make sure that in this digital era, in this time and space, what we could do to make it more effective. If you have a better way that you have identified, please do not hesitate to connect with the district and share with us what you found is a better way of doing things. And we would for certainly make sure that the district, the clubs get to know about it. We are always looking for opinions and suggestions of how we can impact the clubs within the district. If there is a best practice that is being done within your clubs, share it with us. Just keeping it to yourself, only your club wins. And if you want the whole fraternity to win, then sharing becomes your power. And lastly, in Toastmaster speeches, I've heard mentors say, don't say thank you at the end of your speech, because they have to be the ones who are thanking you for giving a speech. But I'm not here to thank you for listening to me. I'm here to thank you for being here for your clubs, for listening in for their sake and for your sake. I want to thank you for coming on this journey of your own personal transformation, because when you do that for yourself, you're doing this for society. And I truly believe that is a great step. So I acknowledge you and thank you for that. And I thank everyone. I thank the district actually for the opportunity to present to this August audience. I look forward to taking questions if there are any, and I hope there are, because there are different perspectives and we can always address them. So to hand over back to our able moderator, this is me handing over to the Club Growth Director, Rania Aburov. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Samir, for this detailed explanation. I was a bit concerned when you talked about how you're going to present it in a nice and easy way to digest and understand, because we're used to the traditional way. But thank you for simplifying it. And here I'd like also again to thank Orbit Toastmasters Club. I was there at the time it was presented, and they were instrumental in inspiring us to do that, and also to DTM Ramanujan for creating all the tools that was shown by Dtm Samir. And it was a nice journey actually. And I think it's a very instrumental tool, as it was mentioned, because here you get to get the voice of every single member. They have to voice their opinion, and you get a clear perspective of what the members think of how the club should move on. And even if you go back to the physical meetings as well, this can also be used. So you can prepare it beforehand, and at the time of a physical meeting, you can present the tool. But as we said, we're not here imposing this. You are free, clubs are free to choose whatever methodology they like, they find fits their needs and is applicable and easy to use. Now I'm getting a lot of questions and requests. All right, so bear with me so I can have both speakers on stage, on the virtual stage. Okay, the first question is for Dtm Ganesh. It says, it's by, I forgot the name anyway, but membership orientation, accommodation with disability as per TMI implies physical disability. Now, in the current scenario, shouldn't it also imply those who are technologically challenged? Members who are not tech savvy feel discouraged to join meetings in the first place. That's a valid point. What do you have to say about that?
Absolutely, it is very valid, and I'll put up my hand. I'm technologically challenged in many areas myself, and I look for help, no doubt about it. I think it goes back to the member who is, the focal point for this guest. If it's a new member who has already joined, then I think half the problem is solved, because there is the community of the club There are members, leaders in the club who can all reach out to this member to help this person overcome whatever technology challenges they face. After all, it's an education piece. Zoom isn't all that difficult once you get down to learning how to use it. So I think it's a matter of spending a little bit of time with someone who is already aware of the technology that is being used. It's an easier disability to overcome, if I may use that word, than the physical challenges people with different abilities might face otherwise. Obviously, Toastmasters International, the standard is written presuming we will have physical meetings, and which is where the biggest challenge lies. Access to parking, access to ramps, access to seating in a club. I know in the past at Emirates Toastmasters, we have had people who have come in wheelchairs and motorized chairs as well. And we've been able to accommodate them, thankfully, because the location was accessible. There was ample parking available. There were ramps all over, so nothing to block an individual's access. But going back to technological constraints and ability to cope with technology, I think there's plenty of help available. Something that we forget as Toastmasters, we are all here to become self-reliant, but we forget that help's available everywhere. So all you need to do is reach out, and there will be not one, and there will be 20 people willing to help you, and that's the beauty of Toastmasters. So reach out for help. Yeah.
Thank you so much. The other question is for both of you. I mean, who should conduct the MOT at the club? Should it be done by the club members or by the area team? Who should be doing it?
All right, I'll let Samir go first on this one, and then I'll give my take on it.
So the one who is conducting is a facilitator, and he's not really doing anything more than just orchestrating the whole process of moments of truth. The panelists who come in could be people who are experienced Toastmasters, who understands the nitty-gritty of Toastmasters and who have had a little bit of an experience of how to look at these things. So panelists could be, if it's a new club, for example, and they don't have experience, then they could reach out to the area director and ask for either the area director's support or members who are seniors within or who have sufficient experience within Toastmasters to guide them, so that the panelist has a clear understanding of the 6 verticals. Now, it could also be one person who is the panelist for all of the 6, but I would say be more inclusive, have more opportunities where there are 6 different panelists who are presenting after doing interviews. My recommendation is, again, to have people who have a little bit of experience with the Toastmaster program, who have perhaps attended more than one club meeting. I mean, more than one club. Not just being present only in their club, but has an overviewing experience of visiting other clubs, seeing what other practices are, and then saying, okay, there are other ways of doing it. So that would be my recommendation.
Another, yes, okay, carry on, Ganesh, please. Yes.
Sorry, no, so I would definitely second that. I think anyone who is handling the session, I would prefer to carry some amount of experience and experience at various clubs. So that could be somebody who's become an area director or somebody from the division, or even another seasoned Toastmaster within the club. In terms of relatability, I think my personal opinion is that club members ought to be able to relate to the person that they're talking and feeding back to. Right. From that perspective, I believe it's nicer to have somebody within the club who is doing this and not an outsider. Of course, there are 2 ways to look at it. If an outsider is here, you would expect, people might not hold back and be open about it. But at the same time, because we're in a club environment, and this is Toastmasters, and we feel very strongly about our clubs, we may not want to open up in front of outsiders. So my personal belief is somebody that you can trust within the club, somebody who you can trust to do a good job of, keeping the interests of the members at heart. And that could be somebody from the ExCom. If not, then that's fine. It could be the immediate past president, for example, or it could be another seasoned club mentor or member who's held various leadership roles at the club and is still around. So, but somebody you can relate to, somebody you can open up to, somebody you can actually say, this doesn't work in this club. We better fix it. And you don't necessarily want to say that to somebody who's come in from a different club or a different area, because you don't want to, wash your dirty linen in public. So you might want to engage somebody who's relatable.
Thank you. The next question, do we have to do the moments of truth twice a year? That is at the beginning or after 6 months and before handing over to the next executive committee? Is this a correct understanding of the process?
That's for you, Rania.
Well, ideally, it's at the beginning of the term. At the beginning of the term, it's basically, this is the time where it should be conducted. That's why we've given the deadline of September 30th, because we have the first 3 months for the executive committee and the club to assess and evaluate where they stand. And then ideally to repeat the same process in 6 months to see if all the points of improvement, all the recommendations have been put in place and where they are at now. And the next team will take over in the following 6 months and take it over. So it should be like a process. And it would be a good practice if also you keep the reports documented for the previous teams as well. So even the incoming executive committee, if they're new to the club, they would know what happened before and take it forward, simply like the DCP plan. That would be my recommendation. I hope I answered the question.
Can I just add something over there?
Yes,
I just remembered something that I had not mentioned. The advantage that we have by doing Moments of Truth right now online is that you can have 100% participation from all the club members. Previously, when you're conducting it in a physical environment, there would be people who would miss out in coming to a club meeting. Today, what we have is the advantage of each and every one. We can actually reach out and request club members to actually answer these questions. It might take them 5 to 10 minutes and that's it. And after that, based on that, we can prepare from everyone's perspective what is the true status of the club is. So just wanted to add that.
Okay, a lot of questions pouring in. Okay, when a guest joins the meeting after the meeting started, how and when we will greet them? That's the question.
All right, I can take that if you want.
Yes, please.
So there are plenty. I think there are plenty of opportunities during a meeting. Normally our meetings are structured in multiple segments. So presuming the guest arrives after the project speeches have started. So once you've completed the project speeches segment, and there's an opportunity to acknowledge the presence of certain guests. It takes hardly a minute to acknowledge them and invite them to introduce themselves. So you could do it in between segments. In a physical setting, we normally would do that during the break. So you would have a break and you would do it. If everything else fails, then you can do it at the end. In any case, as the president is closing the meeting, there's opportunity to invite feedback from guests. And we have had plenty of occasions where people have walked in pretty much as the meeting is ending. But that's fine too, because before you close, you could still get them to introduce themselves, and then you can stay back and have a little bit of a banter and a chat with them. So, no fixed position to do that, but plenty of opportunity. You could take any one of those opportunities to introduce them.
Do you have to add something, Samir? Would you like to add something to that?
Yes, what I do normally is when I see people who are coming in as guests or people who I know who are attending the club meetings that I'm a part of, or even if I'm joining somewhere else, I send them, because of Zoom these days, it's so convenient. You can send them a personal chat and say, thank you for joining us today. Really glad to have you here today. And it doesn't interfere with the club meeting at all. So the moment you see someone who is there and he's present, to feel glad for somebody's present doesn't take time or effort. It just is a matter of intention. And I think that would be the guide that anyone should use for when to greet.
Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, if you are executing the virtual MOT in 2 clubs, how can I get a unique link for each club? I think that's for Samir.
So the link that is being created, the bit.ly link which has been circulated in the chats also right now, that link, when each moderator clicks it, it becomes a unique link for them. So they should generate it only once, only then they can populate the results accurately for the club. And that should not be shared with another club. So if they want to do it twice for two different clubs, the same moderator, he have to download two different links and give it to two different clubs. That's the way it should be done. So if the same moderator is doing it for two different clubs, then download the link twice. The club members are not the ones who will download this particular link. It will be only the moderator who will download the link which says MOT 105. That link is only for the moderator to download, not for the club members. I hope that makes it clear.
All right, thank you. Let me go. Now, a question, I think this is for Dtm Ganesh, because you mentioned the mentor. What is the criteria for a qualified mentor? This is the question.
Well, to be honest, every club has its own criteria. There isn't anything that is specified by Toastmasters International in terms of who can and cannot be a mentor. And therefore, it affords a lot of flexibility. And it's also about who you connect with and how well you connect with that person. And there's a lot of, I think, openness in seasoned Toastmasters about either being accepted as mentors or not, right? We normally leave it to the mentee to decide if the relationship will work or not. We look up to the VP Education or the Education Committee to bring people together, but it's not cast in stone. But so you've got to figure out if the relationship will work. Now, ordinarily speaking, because it's what is expected from a mentor is to guide you, is to steer your journey in Toastmasters. And mentorship is not restricted, as we mistakenly believe sometimes, to just project speeches. Mentoring a speech is different from being a mentor. And I think we all understand that quite clearly. And a mentor, I expect, would steer your journey in Toastmasters, will guide you as to what paths to take, for example, how to improve on your skills, what leadership roles to take, when, what is the right journey for you, which clubs to go and attend, what roles to play, what contests to participate in, etc., etc. And apart from all of that, this person remains available to you to discuss what you're thinking, what you're feeling, provide you both emotional and intellectual support. Now, can you put down a criteria for such a person? Perhaps not, but you will recognize such a person. One of the things that you'll look for is how long they've been in Toastmasters, what they have achieved in Toastmasters, how well they are respected within the Toastmasters community. At club meetings, you will see them contributing to people's growth, and such is a person that you would normally look for as a mentor. Now, the Pathways actually has introduced a mentorship path also, I believe. It's a certification that you can get. Again, please remember, anyone who's picking that up is not necessarily a seasoned mentor already. It's a learning journey after all. So it's available to all of us. We can all get certified. In the process, hope that we have actually picked up some skills. But this is a role that I think should be played by somebody who's been a Toastmaster for at least a few years, who's done a lot of either pathway programs or has been an accomplished Toastmaster for a while. And I say this because they bring that wealth of experience that they can contribute to somebody who is a novice. So nothing written in stone, though. Again, people have to click. Eventually, that's what is going to make it work. If people click, then it works. Otherwise, even with the most experienced Toastmaster, you just not might be able to go beyond the first conversation. So look for those attributes in an individual who you'd like to mentor yourself.
Can I add to that?
Please.
Yes, I second everything that Ganesh has said, and I'd just like to add this. When members reach out to me, I ask one question: what is it that you're looking to grow into, or what is it that you really want from your journey? And if they tell me they want to be, let's say, for instance, they want to become a humorous speaker, then I tell them I'm not the person to guide you in that process, because I know what my skills are, where they lie. You don't have to have only one mentor, number one. We can have different mentors. And mentoring, what I recently came across from one of the senior Toastmasters is the fact that it's a time-bound activity. It's not perpetually. People have the perception that when you have a mentor, you have a mentor for the rest of your Toastmaster journey. It need not be so. You can have it for 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, and then you can terminate that. And at the beginning, you set the tone for that, and you tell them that I'm going to do this for a year. Because otherwise, if you don't set that at the initial stage, then it becomes very difficult for you to exit that relationship, and then it remains hanging for a long period of time. And then sometimes people might take offense also because he's gone to some other mentor to get mentored as well. But if you have this understanding that you are building on different skills and different people bring in different skills and you're being mentored for that particular skill, then you will reach out and you will have the Toastmaster experience in a much more richer manner, I believe. So it's just a matter of identifying from a member perspective, if you are, what are the skills that you really want to grow into, and then seeing who are the ones who have it in abundance that you can actually learn from. And like Ganesh said, Dtm Ganesh said that mentees have the opportunity to pick and choose who they want to be mentored by as well. The clubs cannot truly impose upon them that you have to take this mentor. It's just a recommendation that the club can make.
There's another question for you, Samir. It said, in your initial address, you spoke about forming 6 teams, and but in the tool which you presented, the response is coming from an individual member. Which is the best way to conduct moments of truth, as a group exercise or individual responses?
So it is possible to do it as a hybrid form where you can get the survey done first. Then in a club meeting, if you want, you can take them into a breakout room and you can put them into teams and have a discussion also. Or you can do it as teams completely. The only drawback that I've seen of doing it in teams is this: even if you have a club which has 20, 30 members, let's say, and you divide it into 6 teams, then you would have 4 or 5 members in a team. And in that scenario, what would happen is you would have a couple of members who are very senior. And for instance, the question of, does the club submit awards? Of course, every club submits awards, but new members wouldn't be aware of it. And being aware is a standard that we want all club members to be aware of. And they would mark it down. But in a group discussion, what would happen is that voice would not come out. And therefore, when the panelists are presenting, it would be a skewed information. So in my opinion, I think getting individual feedback from every member plays a vital role in club members realizing that there are no few members who are blindsided, who are left in the dark, and the club is not aware of them also. They're not even aware of the condition they're going through, that there are members who are not aware. Like you mentioned right now today, right? When Dtm Ganesh spoke about different standards, some of them came to your awareness at a deeper level today. So we can all fall victims of it. And I think therefore we should actually take individual scoring and then have, if required, group discussion if they have the time and luxury, or else the panelists would conduct interviews and get inputs. And that should be the way. So 6 panelists will be there, which will cover the 6 verticals that have been discussed in the moments of truth. And whether you want to form teams or not, it is up to the club to decide which one to choose.
Oh, thank you, Samir. Do you want to add anything, Ganesh, to that?
Yeah, I think it's important for every member to voice their opinion. I think I completely second that. And once you've got that opinion, how you utilize that, how you discuss it, and how you arrive at your action plans is a different ballgame. And you have different modalities to do that. But getting every member to provide their opinion, I think that's paramount. That's what you really want. And membership orientation is actually a good example. I'll say this because a lot of clubs, bring in guests and they turn into members, and nobody really knows if an orientation happens. And nowadays, I don't know if it really happens. In the past, we used to put aside maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes before a meeting and invite new members in earlier just to do an orientation. The opportunity is here. On Zoom, you can set up a separate orientation meeting and you take through a group of new members, the entire education program, the TCP things, what they can expect and what they should be expecting, all of the standards and things like that. So yes, members' opinions paramount. Get that first, and then use that information whichever way you want to construct your discussion.
Thank you so much. I think we have a 5 minutes left for a couple of questions. Is it advised to send the Moments of Truth forms to members on WhatsApp group or by email and request the members to fill and send to VP Education and conduct a session with output achieved? I think more or less we answered that. Zamir, can you just quickly answer that?
I would recommend you can send it by WhatsApp as well, but fundamentally send by email as well, because that is more official. So once you send it by email, then it becomes an official record. WhatsApp just gets disappeared and you cannot backtrack it, but always when it comes as an email, it is, I believe, more official. Nevertheless, for people to take action, it's much more easier from the WhatsApp. So you can, so what our club does is this: anytime a mail is sent, we also send in the WhatsApp group that a mail is sent, please look into it. And here is a link if you want to do something about it to make it much more easier.
Thank you so much. And with one last, if the person who comes as a guest for 4 or 5 sessions and does not turn as a member, how can you convert them? The $100,000 question. $1 million question.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go ahead, Samir.
So if a guest is not converting, everything is a sales process, right? And the earlier CC manuals, P10 was about inspiring the audience. And converting every guest into a member is an opportunity for us to exercise the P10 project or the Inspire a Speech project. And if something is not working, it's just a way to revisit what the club is doing as a team and as an individual. And that is a very important aspect, actually. The guest experience is something that we do not actually pay a lot of attention to. And the club quality team, what we are doing is we are coming out with a whole series of what can you do for enhancing the guest experience step by step. So what we have done, what you're seeing today as Moments of Truth, we're also coming out with a whole new approach to how the guest experience can be elevated to a whole new level, so that if you look at certain clubs, they succeed very easily in converting members, and some struggle a lot, no matter what you do. And we are looking to bring those best practices that successful clubs are able to easily convert to the clubs. It's just a matter of the right conversation, the right approach, and the right sales pitch. Because if a guest who would really love to join Toastmasters is not joining, then it's perhaps also a wake-up call to the club. What can they do different? Because if you continue to do what you're doing, you'll continue to get what you're getting, which is non-membership or non-enrollment. Yes, Ganesh, you'd like to add something to that?
I agree that it's up to the club to be able to present a meeting that inspires the guest to join up. Having said that, I think guests today have plenty of opportunity, especially on virtual platforms. They can attend any club anywhere in the world. And if I were to attend one club meeting as a guest every day, I'm set for the year. I've been Toastmasters an entire year. I can go attending just as a guest. So what is it that the guest is looking for? If the guest has come back to your meeting a third or a fourth time, there must be something that's still working as a hook. So work on what's working and try and eliminate, as you've pointed out, what's not working. So it needs a conversation with the guest separately. In the past, I know clubs could charge a guest fee. I think that's where it's hurting clubs right now, that you obviously don't have that revenue and people are attending, but they're not signing up. And signups are very important for clubs, and therefore regular membership building programs, as Toastmasters International suggests, you have to have the standard met. So I think You're right, absolutely. We have to reflect why a guest is not signing up, even if they have turned up. Now, we can't uncover that unless we've spoken to the guest. So, a conversation, as you would put it, is required.
Thank you so much. Mr. Tamer, do we have time for one more question, or are we done here? Just one last question. I cannot see the timer.
I see one excellent question. Can I just?
Okay.
From Mofi,
all right.
I've seen this question over here, which I perhaps did not address in the presentation. And I think it's quite relevant. He says the revisit for MOT after 180 days is the same. So what he's basically asking is, after 180 days or 6 months, should you do the MOT or should you do an analysis of the goals that has been set? I believe it is for the club to decide which one they want to do. They can go either through the whole process of conducting another MOT, or at the very least, take out the goals document that they have set for themselves and revisit, declare to the goals and declare to the club and say, this is what we had set for ourselves as an intention 6 months ago, that we will achieve this. Where have we reached from our analysis? This is it. It is just a reality check, and it is possible for the ExCom to do it, or it can be done collectively from the club perspective, where you do the MOT all over once again. And one more thing to add over here is, you can either do it in a regular club environment, club meeting, or you can conduct a separate meeting of Moments of Truth, which is separate from the regular meetings of having 3 speeches, table topics and everything. You can do this as a complete exercise separately also. So what Orbit did, I believe, is they conducted a unique, a different day meeting that was set only to focus completely on Moments of Truth, that actually for all the club members opens their eyes to the importance of what Moments of Truth exercise is, and doesn't get lost in the whole meeting scenario.
Thank you so much for your time and for your excellent insights. And I think we've covered more than Moments of Truth. I mean, you talked about mentoring and how to add guests to the club. And we've tackled so many issues that are basically relevant and important to every single club. Thank you so much, Dtm Ganesh and Samir, for this wonderful session in the morning. And I believe everyone, from the comments I see, I think the feedback is excellent. Thank you so much. May I ask on our PQD, Dtm Gurvinder, to join stage, please? Now, there's one question for you, Dtm Gurvinder. I left it for you. One of the question is, can conducting the MOT program be considered as a project? Because in panel discussion, one of the project is presentation mastery.
Project for what? Project for pathways?
Yes.
Well, sure, it can be considered. No problem. Yeah.
So the answer is yes.
Yep. All right, my turn.
Yes, over to you, sir.
So let's begin by first understanding what has been done in the last little while. A few things that are happening right now is the district is kind of creating opportunities for us members and officers to perform to our best. And a Toastmasters Club's mission is not unknown to all of us. We all know that. Our mission is to provide a mutually supportive and positive learning environment. Now, that's the reason why you are there as club officer, area director, division director, and that's why we are here as district officers serving that mission, providing a mutually supportive and positive learning environment. Now, learning environments or any environments do not get created automatically. They have to be created. That's the reason why we are here. We have to provide that. And as Ganesh spoke in his opening speech address, is all customer service companies, all people who are dealing with a vast range of audience have standards. In fact, as I was listening, my eyes went to my library and I picked up one of the very favorite books of mine called as The New Gold Standard. Now, this is a book about the Ritz-Carlton hotel company and the standards that they use, and they call it as the gold standard. And this gold standard defines the way how Ritz-Carlton works across the world. And it is not a name that I have to explain what is Ritz-Carlton. We know how they do and what they do. We all would love to go and stay with them, eat with them, or have a holiday with them. So Toastmasters Moments of Truth is precisely the same thing. It's a standard. It's a standard that if we choose to apply, we can have a fabulous environment which is mutually supportive and positive. And I use the word if we choose to apply, because Toastmasters is not a police station. We are not here to police you. Club Door Directors team and the program coordinator team has done this session for you to choose. It's your choice whether you want your club to be a Hall of Fame club, and you very well clear understand that this year in the awards we have created a beautiful award for the clubs called as the Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame award comprises of 21 different things that a club should do. And one of the things in that award is conducting a Moments of Truth program in the club. Whether you do it yourself or you ask your area team or division team to support you, but doing a Moments of Truth program entitles you for a point. And why did we include that? In this Hall of Fame, we have included all those things which will help you to be a club where members would want to come and stay. There was a question that was asked, why members don't join a certain club? Well, if your club is Moments of Truth club, people would want to come and join. We create Moments of Truth by who we are in those moments. It's a movement. The word here is movement. You go to a restaurant, in the first 10 seconds or 15 seconds, you create an opinion about that place. That must be the fabulous restaurant, but your opinion might be, I don't want to waste my time or money here, because something might have happened in the first 10 seconds. Maybe the greeter at the door didn't smile. They generally don't smile at me, but that's okay. I don't take offense on that. But if the waiter didn't bring the food on time, or the quality of food was not good, anything could have given me opinion, a perception. I don't want to come here again. And that's true for Toastmasters clubs. If your club has 8 members and I come as a guest, what kind of energy I get in that club? So I don't want to come to that club again. So it's critical that I apply Moments of Truth and build my membership base to what is needed. Moving forward, I think this day is done. Fabulous session done. Lovely gathering of the stalwarts, 2 of the best people that we could get for you. And I can tell you, both of them, they charge a lot of money to do these sessions when they are in their own profession. But for Toastmasters, they have given not just today's 45 minutes, but hours and hours of preparation behind this. And they're also committing to help you after this session. So please make the most of this $1 million people. Don't let them go without you getting benefited from them. On behalf of District 105, Program Quality, Club Growth Team, District Director Nelson Menzies, may I take a moment to thank and offer my gratitude to the speakers today. Our first speaker, Distinguished Toastmaster Ganesh Rahman. Really appreciate and thank you for that lovely, lovely session which you have delivered for us today. Please accept a small token of our gratitude, a certificate for you for conducting the education session. On behalf of District 105, I present it to you.
My pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Samir GP, we just don't share the last name together. Samir GP and I am GP as well, but we share a lot of beautiful thoughts about taking the district forward. And I'm so happy that you are serving this year on the Club Door team, and you delivered your first masterpiece today by bringing the digital side of Moments of Truth. Yes, we have people from the XYZ generation in this Toastmasters, people like me who still want to send the WhatsApp message by writing it down on a paper first, perhaps, and people like you who would do the Moment of Truth on digital platforms. We have the whole choice available now. Thank you so much, Samir. And I take great pride in presenting you with this certificate for you conducting this program today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the wonderful opportunity. Really grateful. Thank you.
Appreciate everybody. And with that, we come to the end of today's session. I thank Rania.
One request, a group photo. A group photo.
I wanted to come to that. So I have clear instructions from my PR team that we need everybody's cameras to be switched on now, and they will, the Zoom masters will take pictures, and there are beautiful things done by everybody in this session. And I may have not taken the names of everybody. The Zoom master, Dinesh, Deepa Surendran, Raminder, Adi, and many other people in the program quality and other teams. Saiju Victor, our PR, who designs the flyers, the invitations, and so many else, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And please switch on your cameras. Zoom Master, we are ready whenever you are. Let's click some lovely pictures. Everybody is smiling now. So you can come online, Zoom Master, and give us the instructions, what we need to do.
Yeah. So can I request everyone to...
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Okay, we'll take the first. So we have 4 pages, so you need to bear with me. Okay. Ready? We have, yeah, Rania, Ganesh, Samir, Dtm, put everyone on the screen. So ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. The second page.
Maybe some cheese, some
yes,
and gestures. Make it funky, funny.
Yeah. We have Anup, Chandran, Mohit, Sebastian, Dreams, Tish, Mrutula, Tarek, everybody on the screen. Smile, please. Just a minute. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Smile. Right. Okay. Now we'll go to the next page. So we have Rehna, Vinod, and yeah, Salahuddin, Varata on the screen, Dtm Nelson also. Okay, please smile. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Yes. One more page. Oh, we have Shoaib, Amjad Ali, Saif, Vivek, and many others. Okay, we'll go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, thanks a lot, everyone. Yes.
Thank you, Dinesh.
Yeah, we are done.
Thank you very much, everybody.